Alright, so moving on to the styling, I did just notice that our H1 tag up here should have the styles already applied. So if we go back into brackets, you'll notice that I said section left, and what I meant was I wanted to use the section title attributes. And what those we're going to do, if you recall earlier, is just going to make this font a lot thinner. It's actually going to make the font the same as the fonts we used here and here. So there we go. Now we can go ahead and continue styling. We may need to jump back in and change some stuff in our index.html, but we'll get to that. So let's actually start on the right side and let's work on our sign up form. So we have our sign up form and we need to give it this background color, and it needs to have some padding and some spacing. So with that being said, let's go into our style.css all the way down to the bottom and let's create our sign up form class. There we go. Now the background color that I used in the original example, and we're going to do color, if I could spell it. Now it's going to be pound F6, F6, F8, and then FA. There we go. Now I also want to add a couple margins and some padding. So let's do margin on the right. Let's do 200 pixels. Let's do a padding left. And what we can do, instead of doing multiple different paddings, let's do padding, and let's do 0 pixels space 200 pixels for the right. For the bottom, let's do 10 pixels. And for the left, let's do, I'm trying to think. Let me go back and take a look. Okay, so let's do padding left, right, and bottom here. So we're just going to have a padding left, right, and bottom. Back into brackets. So we have our top at 0. Our right is going to be actually 50. I don't know what I was doing there. Right 50, left 50, or bottom 10, and then so we need one more space, and we'll do that. Let's save that. So we have a padding at the top of 0, left and right are 50, and then the bottom padding will be 10 pixels, so 0 at the top. Let's go ahead and save that. Okay, there we go. So we have padding. We actually don't have that padding at the top. So it looks like it runs right up against it. Don't worry, we will fix that momentarily. Let's keep moving on though. We can add some more styles to our sign up form. And let's go back in here. And let's move on to the next thing. And that's going to be our sign up form. So sign up form H6. If you recall, we have an H6 tag in there. So we're going to style that top text there. And we're just going to make that let's make that color black, so the font is black, which it should already be. We're going to give that a padding at the top, and let's do 15 pixels. Very good. And let's take the font size down to 0.9 em. Save that, and let's take a look. Okay, there we go. So now we have a little bit of padding above the text there, which helps us out. That's why we left it out originally. Let's take a look here. Okay, so we need to make sure that that text is also aligned to the center, so we can add that in brackets. So let's do a sign up form. Let's do text align center. There we go. All right, very good. So now we need to add our input styles here, and we'll do that right now. I actually do want to push all of this content on the left, which already looks pretty good. We just need to make sure that it's pushed down. So we need to add a padding, or rather a margin. So what we can do, and what I suggest we do, is let's actually just above the column 2 here, in our first column 2 where the section is, let's create a div. And this is one way I like to hack things out. Just create a div class, and we'll call it top margin. Okay, and we're going to add this all the way to, and we're going to stop this right at the end of this column. So we'll go ahead and close that div tag. So that's going to be encompassing the section title and the section left. So this H1 tag and this P1 tag. So that way we can actually just use the class top margin to create some margins from the top for all the content there. So if we go back to our style.css, let's create a little class called top margin. And let's go ahead and make sure that that is very big at the top. So let's give that a margin. Let's do a margin top of 100 pixels. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Okay, there we go. So now we are good to go at the top. Let's look here real quickly. And it's also pushed in a bit too. So let's give that a 100 pixel margin on the left side as well. So we'll do margin left. Let's do 100 pixels. And that should about do it. So, okay, there we go. So now it's pushed in. That looks a lot closer to what we have here from John Smith. Now we just need to, let's add some more styles here. We obviously need to style the inputs so that they're far bigger, and the button, everything else is looking pretty good though. So let's go ahead and style these inputs back into CSS, back into our CSS folder at the very bottom. Let's go ahead and we're just going to use input. So this, since it's not a class and it's not a div, even though we did give one, we only have one more form in this website that we're going to be doing, so we can just use the input field. And what we'll do is we will change some things here, and let's go ahead and change the margin of the input to 0. Let's go ahead and change the width of it because I want these to be 100% of the actual container. So let's do 100%, which should look good. Let's also give them a nice height, and I need to make sure that I close that with a semicolon. Let's give it a height, and I think it's about 50 pixels. So we'll keep that right there. Let's do a font family. Let's change the font up on this bad boy. So we're going to do font family sans serif. There we go. Let's take the font size up a bit as well, and we're going to go up to 15 pixels. There we go. Let's change the font weight, keep things consistent, and we're going to make that thin at 100 pixels, or rather, sorry, 100. And I'm trying to think, we're going to need to take out the border. So if we look here really quickly, we'll notice that there's a border around this. I don't like those. I usually always take that out. So in order to get rid of that, let's just select border none. And let's also make sure there's a nice space in between the two input fields. So we'll do a margin at the top, and we'll do that at 15 pixels. Okay, let's save that. And hopefully we're looking a lot better, actually. So we're looking the same as we have over here. Nice. We do notice that the actual placeholder text is touching right up against the edge here. Don't worry about that for now. We'll go back and change that. Let's just go ahead and style this button. And to do that, we're going to create a new class, and we need it to be this green button. So let's go in, and let's just go ahead and change this to, and we're just going to style all buttons and have it override this one. So button. And we're going to apply a lot of the same stuff that we already did. So we're going to do a width again, and that's going to be 100% because we want it to be the same size as our input field. We're going to give that a height, and that height's going to be the same as the input field at 50 pixels. Let's close that off. We'll do the same font family. Actually, you know what? The same font size. Yep, we'll do the same for those two. We'll do font family because we want it to be consistent. Sans serif. We're going to do font size at 15 pixels. I probably could have just copy and pasted this, but I don't mind. It doesn't take too long. And the font weight, of course, will be 100 as well. And we're going to add a margin here of 0. All right. And now we need to add the background color, that green background color. So to do that, let's add background color, and I have the color written here, and that's going to be 6DC 77A. Perfect. Let's change the color of the font because it's going to look terrible unless it is white. So let's do pound FFF. So we'll make that white. Let's take out the border. So border none. And that should do it, other than the fact that let's add a margin at the top of this one as well. So there's another nice spacing. And we'll do the same 15 pixels. So a lot of the same styles other than adding a background color. Let's go in here. Let's take a look. Make sure it looks like that. Boom. There we go. So it does indeed look like that, which looks great. The privacy policy text looks pretty good below too. I don't think we really need to change any of that. John Smith. Okay. Okay, not bad. That'll do for now. Now we just got to go ahead and finish off this beautiful website that we've created with the footer section. In this footer section, all we have is our logo. We have a little copyright text here, and these three social links that when you hover over them have this nice little background that pops over, which is pretty cool. And then we have this dark New York City background. So let's get into that, into the final lectures of this website.